Hello everyone, it's Karen here from Stampin' with Karen Sprinkles. I've got another Monday video tutorial for you. You can find the supplies to everything I'm using in the description bar below, where you'll also find links to all of my other various bits and pieces of social media, so you can catch me wherever is best for you. So today I want to carry on with my kind of Christmas theme, but I want to have a play with the Pigment Sprinkles. Now the Pigment Sprinkles are a pigment powder. They were new to our annual catalogue this year. They come in 6 colours. We've got Granny Apple Green, Gorgeous Grape, Melon Mambo, Bermuda Bay, Mango Melody and Daffodil Delight, and I'm really hoping that they're going to bring these out with in some more of our lovely colours, because I'd really like to be able to play with lots more. I've got my water bottle here because we definitely need lots of water when we're playing with Pigment Sprinkles. So they come in a box of 6, but I've taken mine out of the box for the purposes of today's video. Oh, and I can see that I've had lots of spillage whilst I've been storing mine, because I must have been storing them on their side. So I'm just going to tap off some excess powder into my bin, which is over to the side. Otherwise we're going to end up in quite a mess, because these powders, these pigments are incredibly strong. So what I've done is they come with a little plastic cap, and what I've actually done is I've covered up some of the holes with a piece of washi tape. So you've got the 6 colours here, and seeing as I've got that one open, which I think is the Bermuda Bay, we may as well have a little play with it. Now my aim today is actually to make some Christmas trees with what we create with the Pigment Sprinkles. So I've got the Pine Tree Punch here. That actually coordinates with the Perfectly Plaid suite in the Christmas catalogue, but I'm actually just using the punch on its own. I'm not using any stamps with it today. I've also got out my Twinkle Builder punch, because I thought I may well want to punch out some stars to pop onto the top of my trees. And I've also got a Merry Christmas sentiment out from the Snowman Season stamp set, because I thought I might like to use that. So I've got some coordinating coloured card bases, and let's see where we end up. So what I've got here is I've got some watercolour cardstock that I've cut down a little bit, and I've just cut it down into sort of usable size pieces. So what we do to use the Pigment Sprinkles is we just give them a little tap onto our cardstock, and you don't need masses, that's probably far too much. And then we start to add water to them, and this is where the magic really starts to happen. So we start, I think I might just put an extra piece of paper underneath just to capture a little bit of the mess. So we start to add the water, and this is where the magic starts to happen, and the colour in the pigments starts to come out. Now you can see there at the sort of each of the colours are made up with lots of different colours. I'm just going to give that a spritz down there. So they're made up with lots of different colours, and I also just need to reach over and grab my kitchen roll. Now I'm not sponsored to do this, but I'm actually using Who Gives a Crap. I use their toilet roll and their kitchen roll. It's fantastic quality. It's made from fully recycled product, and I've done a lot of research on them, and I believe that it's a really good product. So it's something that I've switched over to, and yeah, give them a try, because they're really good. And the toilet paper is lovely. It comes in all these different pretty patterned paper wrappers. It's really lovely. So that's the Bermuda Bay one. So I'm going to pop that to one side to dry off. I'm going to take another piece of watercolour paper, and I'm going to try each of the Pigment Sprinkles here today for you to show you what they come out like. So let's go for Granny Apple Green next. Now I thought this one was quite fascinating, Granny Apple Green, but look, the pigment is bright orange, but it really is green. It surprised me when I first saw it. So I've got lots of powder sitting in this lid already. I think I'm going to have to change my storage solution for these, so that I am actually storing them stood up. So right now I'm going to start spraying. Look at that, see, orange to green, who knew? If you're maybe an art expert, you maybe did know, but I certainly didn't know. And we've also got some really lovely bright green in there, some bright blue and sort of turquoisey colours in there as well, which is really lovely. So that's the Granny Apple Green. So I shall also Pop that over to one side. Get another piece of watercolour cardstock, and let's go Mango Melody this time. Oh yeah, just like with all the others, there's plenty spilled out into the lid, so I think that'll be plenty for us to just to have a little look. So here we go, we've got the nice lovely bright oranges coming out there, so you can tip them and twist them. You can watercolour with them, so you could pick, I've got a water brush handy, you can pick up the colour with them, because obviously they are a strong pigment. I mean, and you literally can just paint with them, and it's such a strong colour that it just keeps going and going and going. Beautiful. And they do exactly match our Stampin' Up colours, so that's really, really good. Another thing I've tried with them actually that I really like is mixing them with texture paste. And then spreading them through masks and things to make backgrounds. Right then, Gorgeous Grape, you're next. Let's have a little look here. So I don't seem to have quite so much spillage with this one. So little light tap again, we don't want too much on there. And again, in with our water spray. Wow, look at that. Oh, what a beautiful sort of regally Christmas colour. That is absolutely stunning. So again, I might just go in and just blot up some of the strongest areas of colour, just so we can see a little bit more of the differentiation. So yeah, we've even got some little bits of yellow in there, some little bits of blue, even some tiny specks of red, unless I've just got contamination everywhere. Who knows? That's quite possible. Okay, so down to the last two colours now. We've got Daffodil Delight, which is our lovely yellow from our Brights collection. So I seem to have tons of powder on there, so I'm just going to tap that off into my waste bin. So tap a little bit of powder onto there, pop its lid on to keep everything safe, and give it a spritz. Oh yeah, lovely. Oh, we've even got some pink in this one. Oh yeah, all sorts of colours, the odd little speck of blue. We've got some pink and some orange. Oh, so pretty. I love the way they're turning out. Really nice. And put that over to one side to dry. So the idea today is with these panels is that I'm going to leave those to dry, and I'm actually going to create some cards with some panels that I'd made previously when I'd had a previous play with the Pigment Sprinkles. So finally, we've got Melon Mambo. So this is our pink from our Brights collection. Wow, that sort of comes out kind of sort of a purpley grey when the powder comes out. No idea how they make these things, but it's fascinating. Hopefully they'll release a video in the factory video for us. Oh yeah, look at that. So there we go. So there is our beautiful bright pink Melon Mambo. I'm just going to mop up some of the excess so I don't end up in too much of a mess when I pop these one side to dry. Okay, so that's those. I'm going to take my soggy piece of paper out of the way, and probably a good idea to take that top piece of grid paper off because it's covered in pigment sprinkle powder. So I'll pop that into my recycling bin, because I think if we carried on using that, we'd end up in a right old mess. So here's some I prepared earlier. So we've got some of the pink, we've got the Mango Melody, the Daffodil Delight, we've got the Bermuda Bay, the Grapefruit, the Gorgeous Grape, and we've got the Granny Apple Green. So my intention is, I thought I'd just create some nice simple Christmas cards with this, but nice and bright and really quite different. So I'm going to start with the grape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tree punch and just find some interesting areas on the card. And what I'm going to do is I'm only going to punch down really. No, I'll punch the whole tree. Why not? Yeah, let's punch the whole tree. So there's one. Oh, here's another nice interesting bit. I love the bits where it's super speckly. There's another bit. And let's go for kind of got a bit of speckly and a bit of solid colour there. So we'll start off with 3 and we'll see how that works out. So I have got a piece of Gorgeous Grape cardstock here, and I've also got some white layers that I've already pre-cut. So these are These are half sheets of A4, cut in half and scored in half, and this is 1/2 centimetre shorter and narrower in both directions. So what I was thinking is something along the lines of maybe a row of trees like that, and then perhaps the Merry Christmas sentiment, maybe white embossed on black, is what I was thinking. So let's give that a go. I've got some pieces of black cardstock here, and I'm going to rub over it with my embossing buddy. I'm going to use my Versamark ink to ink up my Merry Christmas stamp. Then I'm going to stamp that as level as I can along the bottom, because then it'll be easiest to make a sentiment strip. I can just cut it off then. So you can just about see that sort of watermarked image there. Then I'm going to add my white embossing powder. So white embossing powder is basically like ground up plastic. We use the ink pad to give it something to stick to, and then we add some heat to melt it. And the reason we use the embossing buddy is because we don't want to get specks of powder everywhere. So I'm just going to reach for my heat tool. Apologies in advance for the noise. I've just turned that on now and going to let that heat up a moment. And then I'm going to apply the heat to the Merry Christmas, and it will melt it, and it'll get a kind of a shiny domed effect. So I'll just hold that up in the light so that I can see when it starts to turn. So it's now going from a dull white to a nice shiny white. And I'll take that all the way along, make sure that's completely melted. Lovely. I will literally just wait a few seconds for that to dry, so I can, or cool down rather, because if I go straight in now, the plastic will smudge and stick to my finger. So I just want to wait just a few seconds for it to cool down. Then I can go in with a dry cloth and buff off some of that powder. The next thing I need to do is, if I trim down this sentiment strip, I've no idea how wide it needs to be. I'd say about, let's go for 2 centimetres and see how that looks. Now this may be a little bit too wide to go over our trees. I don't know, haven't tried it yet. It was just a maybe. Oh, I don't know. I think if we trim down the edges, we can perhaps get away with it. So I'm just going to trim off the excess cardstock from either end. So this is our basic black cardstock, and let's have a little look. Okay, so yeah, I think that could work, but I think the trees are getting a little bit lost on that background, because there's a fair bit of white space on the watercolour paper. So I have got Very Versailles stamp set next to me, because I was thinking, and I'm getting pigment sprinkles everywhere, I was thinking that we could maybe take that lovely scripty stamp from that stamp set and maybe stamp that in the background and see what it was like. So do I stamp it in Gorgeous Grape? Do I stamp it in a grey? Let's go for Gorgeous Grape. No, let's go for Highland Heather, and maybe even Highland Heather stamped off. So let's have a little look, shall we? So I'm going to stamp this, stamp it off, and then stamp it on the card. Okay, don't know if this is going to work or not. Like I said, haven't even tried it, just winging it now. Stamp that off and stamp on there. So let's have a little look. Let's see if this works. Now there is some lovely, I think it's Gorgeous Grape and Highland Heather ribbon in the catalogue, but I haven't got any yet, and it's a shame because it would tie in beautifully with this. Do we think we can get away with it? Yeah, why not? Let's give it a go. Maybe some of the other colours will look a little bit different, but I think for now this is going to do just nicely. I might look for a smaller, skinnier sentiment, perhaps Itty Bitty Christmas might have just the right sentiment for us. So I'm going to stick this down to the front of our card, like so. Just make sure that's straight and in the middle. Let's pop some dimensionals on the back of these, and of course that may help them be a little bit more visible. So let's pop sort of a skinny one near the top and then a couple of standard size ones towards the bottom on these. And let's see how that works. So I will place the middle one first, and then we can place the other two, hopefully equal distance either side. Actually, I think this one will probably be my middle one because the other two are quite spotty, so we'll put those to the outside. So we will line up the card on the grid paper. That always gives us the best possible chance. And then I think if I put the trees sort of with their little boughs touching at the bottom, take these little doodahs off. Oh. There we go. So that's those. I think I would just put a little bit of liquid adhesive on the back of this to stick it down to the trees, because we've got a bit of dimension on there already. So we'll go for Merry Christmas. So it's across the middle one. And let's try some stars with the black cardstock. So I think I'll sort of pick the medium size star, and we'll see if that, oh, that's cute. Yeah, I'm liking this. So using my Twinkle Builder punch, I'm just going to punch out 3 little black stars. And I think the safest way to add these is perhaps going to be with a glue dot and my pokey tool. So I will get a glue dot, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it over to make it into a little blob of glue. I'll use that to pick up one of the stars, then I shall flip it over, and then I can add my star to the top of my tree. Oh, that's really dead cute. So again, I'm going to turn my glue dot into a smaller dot, pick it up with my paper piercing tool, and then pop that down, and then finally the third one. Here we go. Going to pop that down and pop that on. There we go. So there's number 1 made with the gorgeous grape. So yeah, I think that's really quite nice. I quite like that. Let's have a go with another colour. So a bit more traditional then. I've got, this is Bermuda Bay, but actually there's quite a lot of darker green in this, but I've got a Bermuda Bay card base. Let's see how that works out. Oh yeah, you can see actually when you put it next to the actual coloured cardstock, you can see, but when it's separate it looks a bit more like maybe a shaded spruce, sort of a piney green colour. So again, I've got a piece of a white there to give me a base for these trees. So let's cut out some trees from this. So I'm going to go for a nice speckly section. So there's one. I'll go for sort of quite a solid one. So there's number 2, and then we'll perhaps get, where we're going to get number 3 from. Number 3, I'm going to get that about there. Also got quite a range of colours there. So I'm just going to reach for the itty bitty, the itty bitty Christmas stamp set, because the greetings in that are a little bit smaller. And what have we got? Celebrate the Season. Yeah, I quite like that. Let's go for Celebrate the Season. So I'll need to turn these up. Celebrate the Season. It's now play spot the stamp amongst you. Ah, there it is, I think. Spot the stamp in the stamp case. Yeah, celebrate the season. There it is. So Itty Bitty Christmas, loads and loads of Christmas greetings. You can purchase it on its own, or it's in a bundle with the Christmas layers dies, which are lovely snowflake dies and poinsettia dies. So they're pretty cool. I need a little block to pop that on. Just try and find my little long block. So there we go, that fits on there beautifully. So let's do the black embossing thing again. So I can take this piece of cardstock, I can run my embossing buddy. Oh, I've just tipped embossing powder everywhere. Not my best move, but not to worry, I will carefully clear that up afterwards. I'm now going to stamp my sentiment with my Versamark sticky ink. And I'm going to stamp that as straight as I can, as close to the edge as I can on my black cardstock. Then I am going to cover that with white embossing powder. There we go. So let's give that a tap off. Cute. So I think what I will do now is I'm going to tidy up that piece of embossing powder at least. The rest of it can wait until I'm off the video, and I'll put the lid on now, so there'll be no more tipping that over. And I shall get my heat gun again, and I shall set that to heat, but I'm going to do it away from the grid paper because otherwise I'll end up with that everywhere. So as before now, I'm just melting that powdered plastic to give us a nice white shiny greeting on our black cardstock. So there we go, that's all finished. And I think as before as well, while that's cooling down, I'm going to punch out some little black stars. Oh, I didn't quite get that one completely, did I? Oh yes I did. So we'll have 3 little black stars to go on the top of our Christmas trees. Right, I'll get my dry cloth again to buff off any loose embossing powder, and then I will also trim that piece down to go. So I think this one needs to be about 1.5 centimetres, so it's a little bit narrower than before, and I may well want it longer, so I'm not going to trim that down yet. So I shall just put these trees a little bit more spaced out this time. Perhaps we'll have them touching the edges and then one in the middle. And do I want to put the script on this time? No, I think I'll leave that this time. I think I'm going to leave the background plain because that means we've got a bit of a contrast. So I'm going to stick this Whisper White panel down to our Bermuda Bay card base. Oh, this glue's getting really low now. I think I'm time to treat myself to a fresh one. There we go, that's better. So we will stick down this plain base. And what I'll do is, I won't do them all on video, but just so that you can see them, when I've finished recording, I will make up the rest of the cards with all the different colours, and then I shall put pictures of those in the blog post and sort of in the Instagram post and the Facebook post and stuff, so that you can see them in all the different colours, just to see how different they look in the different colours. And I also going to need, where are my scissors gone? I'm really good at losing things in here. I just need to get myself a couple of little bits of dimensional to go at the top, so I'm just snipping those off the skinny little edges and take off all the not the actual dimensional, Karen, just the backings, thank you very much. So this time I'm actually going to do them edge to edge, so I'm going to do the 2 outside ones first this time, and then I'll do the middle one so that I get them pretty lined up. Let's have a look, and I'll do this one over here. So yeah, that looks pretty lined up to me. how lined up it looks to you guys, because you're getting the bird's eye view up there, so you actually get to see everything much clearer than I can see from this angle. And another one just about there. So I'm just going to see where this will sit. So it's going to go, and I'm going to put dimensionals on this time. So I need one at each end and one in the middle. There we go, and then that should line up quite nicely with those trees. Something that might look quite nice on here actually is if you did some sort of splats on the background. You can do that either with the Stampin' Right markers, just flicking them in the lid, or you can do it with a bit of memento ink on a block and with your aqua painter. So same thing again with those cute little black stars. I'm going to fold up my glue dots as small as I can get them, pick up the star with it, and then pop that on my tree. Oh, I've got to be ever so careful. That embossing powder is going to end up everywhere. Just make sure I don't sneeze. Put that one there. So I hope everybody's had a really lovely weekend. We've had great weather here in the UK again. It's nice when we get a nice late September bit of sunshine. We all enjoy that. We get out and tidy up our gardens and things. And I hope everybody has a fantastic week as well. So a couple of different sentiments and a couple of different colours with the pigment sprinkles there. Like I said, I will finish off the rest of the colours and I'll have those available on the blog post for you to see, and I may well experiment with some different backgrounds and things as well, just out of interest, just to try things and see how they are. Hope everybody has a wonderful week, and I look forward to crafting with you again soon. Thanks, bye bye.